Alright, so my presentation is going to be on Educated by Tara Westover. It's a memoir on the self-discovery and transformative power of education. So let's just dive in, get into the story. So Educated was talking about, so this book talks about Tara Westover, who grew up in a strict, isolated household in Idaho. Her parents were really hardcore, survivalists. They were really suspicious of the government and the whole government system, and the education system as a part of that. As a result, Tara and her siblings were denied access to schooling, medical care, and basic knowledge. They got told it was all part of So they got told all of the education and everything that the common world teaches of the common man is from the Illuminati. But basically, despite these challenges, Tara wanted to learn. Tara really wanted to learn. She had an unwavering belief in the power of education, and so despite these challenges, Tara still wanted to learn, and she had an unwavering thirst for knowledge. She believed in the power of education, and so she taught herself to read and write. But through sheer determination, she eventually gained admission to Brigham Young University, and her pursuit of education became a catalyst for profound personal transformation. And so she had a brother, and this brother ended up being really smart, and he hid CDs and just more modern things in his room and books for her to read off of, so that he really ended up inspiring her, especially since he had a speech impediment, and it was really hard for most of the people in her family to learn. But her brother really inspired her to be able to learn because he had his speech impediment. And Tara's parents had a lot of Mormon beliefs. They believed in the text, but they didn't like to talk a lot to the other members because they thought that they would had misinformation, and they wanted to get it right from the source. But what they did is they brought it really far, so they didn't really let him into the real world. And Tara ended up going to a ballet class, to a dance class, and they had really strict so Tara ended up going to a dance class, and they had really strict modesty beliefs, and they didn't like her being in the class. So they let her stay for a little bit, but then they eventually took her out because they didn't like what it was inferring. So eventually Tara ended up getting into theater, and she did really good at that. She had a really good voice, and people treat her sort of poorly there, but she ended up making a friend. But yeah, so she ended up, and her dad really supported this. He believed that it was a good thing. He didn't he didn't paying all the money or sending her into town. He thought that was a bad example, but he did being able for his daughter to have these these talents and to be able to show them off. Yeah, so basically she just had her whole life written out for her by her parents, and she thought she'd never really get out of that. She'd worked in the plant that her father worked at, worked in the yard. I don't know what it's really called, but she'd worked there a lot, and she thought she would be stuck there for her whole life until she learned that she didn't have to. Her grandma was really persistent about her going to college, but she didn't know that she wanted to. But yeah, she eventually ends up getting everything that she wants within that and being able to move on with her life. Alright, so my quote from the book is that my life was narrated by me by others. Their voices were forceful, empathetic, absolute. It had never occurred to me that my voice might be as strong as theirs. So I think this just talks about like how, you know, she's always had her whole life written out for her. She never really knew she had a choice until she got shown that. So I'd recommend this to just anyone, really, but especially people that want to read like more inspirational books. I found it really, just really cool, and I feel like it was a really unique story. So yeah, I got recommended this by my aunt. She was reading it one time, and she was like telling me about it like 2 years ago, and I just thought it'd be fun to read. So yeah.